Hey, what's the matter? What's the matter? Say hi to all the nice people on the internet. Say hi. He's about to be 17, by the way. In no particular order about the recent news stories that have piqued my interest. It appears that one company has disregarded every single warning that could ever have been made by popular culture and movies. A bunch of articles recently popped up on my desktop news feed, warning me about an asteroid that was going to strike Earth in a matter of months or years, and then it all of a sudden disappeared. We are getting a new SHREK before GTA 6, and Ukraine is apparently no longer on our friends list. This week on Weekly Updates. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Protoclone. It is apparently the world's first bipedal, musculoskeletal robot, or android if you want to use that word. It did look something out of a horror movie. Like every time I see these videos of like people interfacing with robots and like they look all chummy together and they're kind of next to each other like, oh, isn't this great? There's a reason why all of the apocalyptic movies showed like how we got here, and they kind of showed shit like this, like pictures like this of Tony Robbins just happily laughing along with a robot as though nothing is wrong. You can tell from my face that I have a problem, right? I've studied AI. I did some research in it. As far as it goes in terms of just aiding in mundane sorts of processes like writing stuff, I guess I don't really have an issue. I have a lot of personal creative endeavors that I plan to do one day in regards to writing and art, and I don't plan on involving AI in any of this. Matter of fact, I once made a short talking about how I never plan to use any AI-generated assets or voices or music for any of the content that I do on my channel, and if I do, it's probably going to be by accident because I didn't know that something was made by AI. So, on principle of just me in my own personal life, I'm really opposed to it. That it's going to be used, I mean, you really just can't stop it. That's the one thing about all this sort of development is that, you know, as much as it sucks, it's just not going to stop. And people, you know, as long as there exists, quite frankly, very genius people, but also some really nihilistic people who, in my opinion, some of them want to make humans obsolete. Yeah, this type of technology is only going to keep advancing as rapidly as it is. The good news is for right now, we seem to at least have people that are actually trying to quell the problem, like Elon voiced concern over AI, Sam Altman. So, you know, with Vance kind of going to the Europeans in their forum and talking about how this is something that we also need to make sure doesn't become a risk to human benefit and human well-being, I think we have time, at least for now. Keyword, of course, being time. The big danger that really everyone is concerned about with AI, and what many people don't understand, is with GAI. Not generative AI, general AI. See, the thing with AI as it is right now, it's basically just a really complicated parrot. AI has basically ingested so much of our own writing, and that you can sort of adjust parameters in these LLM models with these things called neural networks. I won't really bore you with the technical stuff, in order to get different desired results by basically going into a machine or a really complex parrot and tweaking how you want the parrot to respond. With general AI, and really the sort of boundary that so far remains between humans and computers, is that we are thinking even when we're turned off. See, AIs right now, they really only work once we interact with them. With general AI, as is the danger if general AI is put into androids like this, the AI will be able to think and see and observe, and, you know, kind of like we do. And that's when maybe shit can get more dangerous. See, right now, the limits of what AI can do is based on the information that we feed it. If we give bad information to an LLM, an image classification model or segmentation model, you're gonna get bad results in turn when you try to actually have it write a paper or have it identify an image. The problem is when the AI is able to go around the world on its own, ingesting what it chooses to ingest. Then the limit of its intelligence will be its brain, not the information that's fed into the brain. Thankfully, we're kind of far away from that for right now, and I think the next frontier really of security in the technological world is gonna be in making sure that AI is under control. Mark my words, as long as there are humans to do the work, not like androids from Detroit become human, but actual human beings put in place, I think it's gonna be the next frontier of security. It's gonna be people who are entrusted with keeping AI under control and making sure that it doesn't go rogue. Of course, you know, picture any sort of disaster scenario you want where, oh, the AI is able to infiltrate the organization that makes sure that people are an AI, and so on and so forth. You can go really off in the weeds with like how bad bad things get. I just think that really any sort of disaster scenario at the very least is far away right now. So it's a really cool video. It looks really scary and eerie. For now, I think we don't really have anything to worry about. So if you're anything like me, on your Windows machine in the lower left corner of the screen is your news feed. And for some reason, I've gotten like 6 or 7, close to a dozen articles, probably all of you have too, of some sort of asteroid that is either going to be hitting the Earth in a few days or a few years. And to be honest, all these stories just start melding together at some point. Some people saying, oh, well, you know, it's not going to hit in a few days, it's going to hit in a few years, or no, these are two different types of asteroids, one's going to hit sooner and later. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson coming in and saying, well, the cool thing about asteroids is the word astro comes from star. I love Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm not trying to throw him under the bus. I just think he's great. I just think that's really funny. That's something he would absolutely say. There is going to be one type of asteroid called DU2 apparently coming this year, 160 feet wide, 60,000 kilometers per hour. But the big thing about this asteroid was it actually caught like a lot of news on YouTube. If you're familiar with the Windows news feed at all, you tend to find that it'll show random articles from the most untrustworthy news sources on the internet. Look at this, scientists have unveiled proof of aliens hidden under the Egyptian sands or some bullshit like that. But this story actually caught traction. There were a couple channels on YouTube that said that the asteroid might actually hit the moon, of that it's actually going to be coming towards Earth in 2032, not in 2025. I was just really surprised to see this much press about what normally we would all disregard as just a hoax and something designed to scare people. Apparently today, March 5th, there is actually going to be a bus-sized asteroid hitting the Earth. This is probably a couple days later that you're watching this, but still. So like that was one thing, but it wasn't going to even graze the Earth. But you see, this is why I don't live in the online world, because all of this sensationalism and like pseudoscience, it flies on the internet, and you would think like, oh my god, this article is titled in all caps. It's telling me that all these signs from the Bible are lining up and they're going to happen in 2025. And then you get out into the real world and like no one really cares. And that's something that, like, you know, even in high school and even in college for like a while I suffered with like thinking and not realizing that the internet world and the real world are nothing alike. In the real world, you have like Russia warning its entire population about the threat of nuclear war and that we have to, prepare for it. And then next thing you know, Trump gets back into office, and probably in the next couple of weeks, him and Putin are going to be sitting around having donuts and coffee talking about how they're going to end the war in Ukraine. It's like no one thinks like this. This whole sensationalism, no. If an asteroid was actually going to hit the world, if an asteroid the size of a city was actually going to hit a populated center on planet Earth, no one would be told anything about it. For any of the doom scrollers watching, if you take anything away from this video, understand, the internet and the real world are not the same thing. Put down the phone and go touch grass. Ladies and gentlemen, the new Shrek. I have never been a fan of the Shrek movies. I thought they were I always was scared of the first one as a little kid, because that moment where he sort of scares all the villagers coming for him in the swamp by screaming at them. When I was a little kid, I was really sensitive to loud noises, so I was always afraid to watch Shrek and like any other film that had a moment where someone was yelling really loudly. So since getting past that, I really just watched Shrek 2 quite a number of times, actually. I think I remember I watched it like once a day getting back from camp when I was a little kid, because it was the only thing we had on DVD at the time. And that was about it, and then everything else after it, like, I didn't care for. The Puss in Boots films, all the abhorrent memes made about Shrek on the internet. Meme culture in general disgusts me, but like when it comes to Shrek, and just, let's not go into it too much. Like, I literally just stopped and watched the trailer for the Shrek 5 film, and all I gotta say is, I wasn't expecting the sort of jump surprise that was there. Like, it for me has become a problem now where a film that was largely meant, I guess, for children or for like maybe kids that were 10, 12, like, PG-13 kind of films are now including like just this viral internet garbage trash, like with memes and all that. And I mean, Shrek was kind of known for incorporating the technology at the time, like the sort of MTV cop chases that we saw in Shrek 2 that I still think are kind of funny. I'm so divorced from the lexicon that is internet meme culture and trends, that like all the stuff that was in the Magic Mirror about like Shrek, and just I don't care for any of it. I'm too old to get this anymore. I don't know how I feel about the redesign. The old design, I mean, I just don't really see the need to change it. There is a debate to be had about whether or not it's even worth changing the design of a beloved fictional character, even though it's been like many years since the last installment. Halo 4 is a good example. I've always said that Halo 4 is not criminally underrated, but it is underrated. And they just changed Chief's armor for like no reason. Like, why? Why would you do that? Because on the one hand, if you do it, then people are gonna complain. It's like, oh, you know, this isn't the same anymore. I don't like the design. I like the old design. Look at what happened with the people that produced the first Sonic trailer. And then on the other hand, if you don't do it, people may say, oh, well, you know, some people at least, oh, well, you know, you're not changing anything. It's the same old. Why should I watch it? I do think more people are gonna feel the first way though. They'd just rather see beloved designs not changed, and I kind of agree with that. I'm probably not gonna watch it because I'll be honest, I don't even remember what the last Shrek film was. I honestly feel like the memes around Shrek have done more damage to my image of Shrek than the actual movies. This is kind of what happens when you have better animation technology but not the original animative spirit, so to speak, in that you have the ability to make these characters look more real with like skin textures and like the texture maps that like show the muscles moving underneath the skin. But back in the day, people just needed a design that looked friendly and approachable enough and looked just outside of the realm of what was real to not be so real but not real enough as to look uncanny. Zendaya is quite interesting because I didn't see Dune, so I don't really know when she's kind of put in the spotlight what she can do. I only saw her in that one Disney show that she was in, and then I saw her in like the Spider-Man films. You know, she's having her moment in the spotlight. She's kind of like Pedro Pascal. I mean, there's a reason that people tune into her. So, you know, Christmas 2026, it's going to be some ways away. I'll be interested to see what type of trailer they're going to drop in the meantime. Also, what happened with the mirror on the wall? My bro has actually been mewing. How much do you want to bet that that's actually going to be a joke in the actual movie? Like, oh, mirror, you know, I haven't seen you in a while. Have you been mewing? And then he's like, always. This is weird. Moving on. Trump and Zelensky fighting. Okay, so I don't really know much about politics. I only know a bit about what's going on in Russia, Ukraine. Here's my thoughts. The short and sweet of what I've been able to gather is that the US and Ukraine both want the war in Russia to end. Zelensky is more pessimistic and I guess is seeking more aid from the US, and that's why Trump shut him down. Apparently Trump criticized Zelensky's idea that, well, peace is a very far long way away, and that is why, you know, we can need the continuing backing of the US. I don't know what the situation is like on the ground. Putin doesn't really seem to be stopping. It does seem a little weird to me that I would think, you know, since Trump kind of campaigned on the idea of wanting to end the war as quickly as possible, Zelensky would be elated. He would be happy to know that Trump's going to bring a swift end. So I guess maybe suggesting that, well, you know, that's not going to happen anytime soon. We still need America's help. That this is why Trump got upset. I'm not really well versed on where the war in Russia-Ukraine is right now. I feel like if there was going to be anyone in the know of sort of where the war is and if either Putin is losing or winning, it would be Zelensky. If he's saying that, you know, peace is still a very far way away, I mean, that may be the situation on the ground, but if you have a president, at least, that's going to be willing to speak with Putin and try and put a swift end, yeah, I agree. Like, we should be here giving the optimistic message of the war is finally coming to an end, we'll have peace, everyone goes home and no one else has to die. That would be my hope. So I think really Zelensky should have just come in with a more optimistic message. Speaking from what I've heard about the war and the situation on the ground, Putin has already been pretty much embarrassed. Like, you know, it's now going to be like 3 years that he's actually tried to go in and take Kiev and he's failed. At the very least, we know that Trump had some sort of a relationship with Putin, and that if there was anything Putin wanted or anything that, you know, Putin was going to try and take from Ukraine, Trump was going to stand in his way. I really am surprised that, like, you know, Zelensky, right after Trump got elected, Zelensky was pretty, like, happy to know that Trump was going to get in and put an end to the war. And now that he's here and he's acting as though, you know, we're still going to have to keep fighting, I don't know why you'd say that. And maybe I have to watch the full interview because, you know, I'm kind of filming this. I don't really have a whole lot of time to watch it right now. Also, some people were saying that the optics were just really bad because he's kind of still showing up to the White House, the American, you know, president's residence, in his military garb when he could have just, you know, on the way from the airport just picked up a suit. I'm just kind of amazed that Trump hasn't done something to the effect of telling Putin, hey, listen, get your guys out of Ukraine and retreat back to Moscow, or we're gonna be putting even bigger sanctions and tariffs on Russia and you guys can't afford that, or something like that. Trump's, I guess, been signing executive orders mostly to help the American people at this point, which I guess is a good thing. But yeah, right after this, I think really Trump should just meet with Putin and tell him, listen, you guys are going in a full retreat. I don't care if you guys don't want to do it. That's what you have to do because, you know, America's not going to put up with this crap anymore. And then the next thing to do is to somehow find a way to end the war going on in the Middle East right now between Israel and Hamas, but that I honestly think is going to be an even uglier sort of end and a messier way to end that conflict. I don't even want to get into that here. But that's my weekly thoughts always. You know, I try to do a bit of research beforehand, but I'm not really the most informed. I want to change that in the future. Ground News is really good at helping with that, so that's probably what I'm going to use from here on out. And as always, Mevanites, thank you guys for watching, and I'll have some more content to you guys in the next week. Thanks.